Hello, I'm really happy you agreed to have a little interview, little chat with me.
You're more than welcome.
Maybe we can start with a simple question. So if you could introduce yourself and say what kind of a surgery you had, in case someone didn't see the, the dressing.
Ken Scott from Elgin in the northeast of Scotland, and I'm over here having had a knee operation, a full knee replacement.
So you had the operation already, how far ago it was? 11 days, 12 days?
Be 12 days, 24th of January.
20 days, and tomorrow you are heading back home.
I fly back tomorrow, yes.
Okay, so at first place I thought I will ask you some general questions. Why in the first place you've decided to search for surgery options abroad?
It was actually, I was at A&E for a weekend. I couldn't walk, and the doctor, all they could say was, you're on a waiting list, here's a pair of crutches. And he was the one, it was the A&E doctor who actually said, have you thought about going private? And I told him the cost in the UK, and he was taken aback by that. He didn't know the cost.
What was the cost?
Over 15,000.
Just for the surgery?
Just for the 3 days and out, basically. And he then said, well, he's worked abroad quite a bit. He said, go to the Czech Republic, go to Poland, a couple of other countries he mentioned. So I went home that night and I just Googled, I looked at the reviews, more than happy, and sent you an email.
Thank you. Do you remember how long the waiting list was at the moment?
I was told another probably 18 months before I would get my operation, and I've been like hobbling around for the last 4 and a bit years. So.
But is it like this just in your area, or you think it's now like in the whole UK?
Across the whole of the UK, people are waiting. Yes, there was a delay with COVID and everything else, but knee operations and hip operations, I'm afraid, aren't a priority. People are just having to put up with the pain.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that. So I actually wanted to ask you what helped you the most in making the decision to go abroad. You've already said that your doctor recommended this option, but probably you had some kind of anxiety or fear. So what was like the process of decision making?
The reason I went abroad was, one, the cost is half the price. But to me, being a military man, I've been abroad quite a bit. And if you have an accident abroad, you just go to the hospital.
That's true.
there wasn't any concern about whether this was suitable or good enough operations over here. I just assumed, well, it has to be, otherwise you wouldn't be operating. So as far as I was concerned, I didn't have any fears. I know some people do, but no, there's nothing for me. I mean, I've been in some far-flung places, so it didn't bother me at all.
So yeah, you traveled a lot before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to maybe explain a little bit, if for people who would be watching our interview, we are now in Poland. Poland is a part of the European Union where there are quite strict recommendations for the hospitals to be able to perform the surgery. So the level of care should be high.
And it has been.
Yeah, so actually it was my next question. How would you compare the level of care you received here to the care back at home?
Well, I mean, the care over here, although, okay, it's private, I've paid for physiotherapy as well, but the care has been second to none. Whereas in the UK, you get your knee operation, a couple of days later, you're sent home, and you're then to sort out your physio and all that. Here, it's all part of the package, and it's very worthwhile. You know, if anyone's coming or thinking about it, the physio makes all the difference. You know, I don't think I'd be where I am today if I'd been back home. You know, so
maybe you can say something about your experience with the physiotherapy.
I mean, speaking to, there's 2 other Scotsmen here, both having hips, and speaking to them, talking to the physios, and with the physios being with us, we've been doing exercises that we thought were correct, and the physio was saying, well, you're cheating slightly, you're swinging your hip rather than bending your knee or strengthening your knee. So they were able to identify that there and then. When you don't have that physiotherapist there and then, you're doing the wrong exercise.
Yeah, even though you have like your brochure, let's say, with the exercises.
You think you're doing the right one, You know, the first time I came up the stairs with Thomas, I swung, I was just dragging my leg rather than bending the leg, and I thought I was doing good. But then he said, no, try and bend the leg, try and step up rather than drag it up. And it's that little thing.
As far as I know, they are really focusing on having the symmetry between the legs, because it's quite common that before the surgery, you've already had some wrong movement patterns to save the legs that is hurting. You put more weight on the other one, which caused like some different
And that was
postures.
one of the reasons I decided to go for the operation, because I was starting to feel the hip and the other knee just because I've been walking wrongly. So the physio here has been second to none. Both my knee, both the other two guys on the hips, the two physiotherapists know their stuff inside out and very helpful, and won't push you, but they will encourage you and take you to that next stage, which is brilliant.
Yeah, actually I was impressed. You're walking really well. You climbed the stairs using one crutch. So yeah, congratulations on your progress, because it's also, you know, it's said that 50% of the success is the surgery, but another 50 is the proper physiotherapy, but also your dedication to the physiotherapy. So this is also
You've got to do the
factor.
exercises.
So what is your mobility or physiotherapy progress at the moment?
My mobility and flexibility of it is good. There was a concern. It took me quite a long time to be able to lift my leg when I was lying down, or when I'm sitting here, being able to lift the bottom half of my leg. But again, the physiotherapists weren't really concerned, because my other exercises I was way ahead. And then the other day, I think 2 days ago, I was able to lift my leg. What a relief for me. But you could see it from the physiotherapists as well. They were glad that I'd actually managed to do it. Physiotherapists said there's individuals who will lift their leg on day 2, but they struggle to walk. Whereas I've had no problems walking. It was just that one exercise I was really struggling to do.
That's why individual approach is quite important. So if you just handled a brochure, you don't really know what are the weak points, where to focus, right?
I mean, you get handed a brochure and you think, oh, I've got to be able to do this exercise before I go on to this exercise. Whereas Thomas and Lucas were like, no, try that one a little bit. If it doesn't work, move on to this one and build this up. And now, as I said, it's still not perfect, but it's working there. You know, I've done it a couple of times, so.
Okay, how soon after the surgery you actually felt like you're ready to go home? And do you think it was worth staying there 2 weeks?
But I mean, I was up and about on the first day after the surgery. Yes, there was a pain, they still had the drip. Once the drip came out, that was what, 4 or 5 days afterwards. Yes, I could have gone home, but staying that extra week for the physiotherapist and doing the physio exercises has been worthwhile. You know, I would highly recommend, you've got to do the physio.
Okay, so would you recommend coming here for treatment to your friends or?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. We've already put it out there to our friends on Facebook and all that. Highly recommending this place with the poster and everything else. People can only go online, have a look themselves, see the reviews like this, but you'll find that just about everyone who comes here will be saying the same thing.
In Poland we have a saying that is a honey on our hearts to hear a compliment like this.
The staff have been second to none, you know, in and out every couple of minutes. If I was in pain, push the button, within 30 seconds they were in there asking what was the problem, or, you know, not necessarily in pain, just pushing the button, oh, I could be done with a cup of tea. In they came, service, second to none.
Do you have any maybe tips or recommendations for someone who's planning to come?
Yeah, make sure you've got a Netflix staff or Netflix on your laptop, so that although there are some British channels, they're generally all the same, repeats and all that over a couple of times, but having the Netflix would be ideal. No, you don't need much, you know.
So just you would focus on entertainment to
keep yourself occupied. The first few days you are on your bed. Yes, you're up and doing exercises, but it does get tiring, it does get sore. So the ice packs are on there, so you're lying back.
Actually, we didn't mention it before, but you came with your wife here. If you would be to make this decision again, would you come with a companion or come by yourself?
That's a hard one. I mean, the wife wanted to come. Yes, it's fairly boring for her just now. There's not much she can do. There is places that she could have gone out and visit, but this time of year with the weather wasn't too great. In the summer, if they're outgoing, yes, they may manage to visit the city and the local towns. Preferably, I would say I would come myself again. Although the rooms are ideal, you know, with everything there for us.
No, it was a pleasure meeting her, so I'm glad she came.
Yeah.
It's just unless you spend 2 weeks in the bed, you never actually know the experience. So
no.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm glad to get home to my own bed.
Yeah, you will be enjoying it already tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow night we arrive at Aberdeen, so it'll be good night time and get home.
Okay, probably we'll continue this conversation back in your room, so thank you
You're
for
welcome.
having this interview.